Good afternoon, Isabelle. Here's your coffee machine, the Breville Barista Pro BES878 in smoked hickory grey. It's never used, very good condition, and congrats on the purchase. It's in very good condition, but as you saw in the photos, it has that one tiny scratch here and one tiny scratch inside the grinder. But other than that, I would say it's perfect. I've set up the machine so that I can demonstrate the machine and talk to you about the settings that it's on right now and how to get a better coffee in case you had any issues. So the machine will take about 5 seconds usually to turn on and warm up. Very quick, just like that. I like to begin my sessions with a blank shot, so that involves just running some hot water through the handle, which, by the way, this is my own handle. I'm just using it for the video because I didn't want to get your handle wet and dirty. This is my own handle, but it's the same. So this is the double basket that I'm using, the double basket single wall, which is the standard one that is installed on your machine. So I like to run some hot water just to get things started. I'm going to grab some milk in the meantime. Great. So you can do this once or twice just to fill up the cup or half of the cup to keep it warm. And when you take it out, make sure you drain the water. Make sure you drain the water, and I like to grab a tissue and dry it. This needs to be dry before grinding. So I'm going to use my scale here to gauge and measure the amount of coffee. So the machine is at grind size number 12 at the moment. I've already adjusted and calibrated the other settings, the internal setting. So it's at number 12 on this dial here. When you go finer, that will slow down your coffee. When you go coarser, that will speed up your coffee. Okay, so the way the grind works is you have a single and a double amount. The double amount will obviously give you more coffee, but you can change them, of course, so you can as many seconds or as few seconds as you want. I personally like to use the single setting just because I can stop the coffee halfway and look at it, measure it. It gives me a little bit more time, and at the end it's less of a mess, because when you have the double quantity all in there, it might like fall off the side. So I personally do a single shot, press it down with a tamper, then do another single shot, press it down. So I'm gonna calibrate my scale here and see how much coffee the machine gives me at. Let's try 7 seconds. So you click once. Okay. That's 7.5 grams. So I'm gonna make that closer to 9 because this is the double basket. It takes 18 grams. So okay, let's see. Okay, that's 9 grams. Great. So 9 grams, let's do at 8.5 and see how much that gives us. Do it again. Okay, it stopped on its own for 8.5 seconds. Okay, so that's 8.3. Hopefully 9 seconds should be giving you around 9 grams. I think that makes sense. So if you do the 9 seconds twice, it should give you 18 grams. If you wanted, you could do 18 seconds on the double shot, but I'm gonna suggest you go with the single just to make things a bit more neat. So that's 18 grams of coffee in here. Sorry, that's 17.5. Let me just bump it up to 18. Great. So, after the second dose, I'm not going to tamp straight away. I'm just going to try to flatten it with my fingers or my palm. There's all these different distribution tools you can buy. And it looks a little bit too fine. It may be a little bit too fine to give us coffee, but we'll adjust it. Hopefully this video won't be too long for you to watch. I just want you to look at the process that I go through, because you may need to change these settings anyway, because different beans will require different settings and will be a little bit easier or harder to grind. So I'm using sorry about that, I'm using the Lavazza beans at the moment. I recommend you try to experiment with different beans. Avoid the Vittoria ones. Those ones are not too fresh and they're pretty hard to make good coffee with. I would recommend the Aldi brand, or even going to your local roaster or cafe and getting their own blend of beans. Okay, let's not dwell on this too much. So I'm going to spread it around and then press it down. Make sure you press nice and firm. Make sure it's flat and level across all sides. And if you don't have a scale, a good way to know that you have the correct amount of coffee is after you grind and tamp your coffee, the tamper should go as deep as the silver part here. So the silver line here is the depth that you want the tamper to go to. So if I press it down and the tamper only goes this much, then that's too much coffee. And if the tamper sinks too deep into the handle, then that's too little coffee. So about this deep is a good indication. About a centimeter, half centimeter from the edge. Just like that. Okay. Like I said, it may be a little bit too fine, so we may struggle with getting a good shot. So I'm happy to do this twice, just to get a good shot. You can flush it once more. Doesn't hurt. Just to get it really hot, because we've been talking for a while now. So I'm going to lock it in to the 6 o'clock position. You don't want to tighten it too hard, but you don't want it to be loose. So just until it's tight enough. Okay. If you like sugar or equal or syrups with your coffee, I recommend adding them at this stage. Great. I'm going to use my scale again to measure the quantity of coffee that the machine gives me. So I'm going to split my shot in 2 halves because I don't want to have too much coffee. So I'm probably going to use this cup now. Great. Let's see. Calibrate my scale and press the double shot button. This is the double shot basket, of course. These buttons are programmable, so you can adjust them at any time. Okay, looks like it's too fine for the machine. So I'll pause the video. And get back to you after I adjust the grinder. Okay, so now I've adjusted the grinder to grind size 15 and I've removed the old grind size. So what happens with the grind size changing is that when you have it at 12 and you use 12 for a while, then you go back to 15, for example, there's still a bit of that old grind size stuck in the machine. So what I do, I just run the grinder for like 3 seconds just to get rid of that old batch, if that makes sense, that old grind size that's stuck in there, and make sure that all my coffee now is 15, not 12. So I already did that. Here's what it looks like. It's not too fine, whereas in the previous shot it was a little bit too fine, and I did realize that after I ground it up. Here's what it looks like now. Not too fine, not too coarse. The more you use the machine, the more you will recognize what feels about right, rather than having to make coffees and test each grind size. So yeah, you want to use a grind size that makes your coffee run not too quick or not too slow. That's why I changed the grind size. It was a little bit too slow before. Okay, take out the portafilter. I'm going to do the same process of grinding, but this time with less talking, because you already know what we're doing. Calibrate my scale. Okay, because we increase the grind size, we'll reduce the grind amount, because, you know, the grinder will be a little bit faster now that we increase the grind size, if that makes sense. That's my first dose. 9.4. Great. So I'm going to put it at 6.5. Hopefully 6.5 will be the one. Okay. So tamp, grind again. That's my second dose. I'm going to measure it. That's 18. Sorry, perfect. So 9 and 9 is 18. Makes sense. So I'm going to flatten with my palm, like I said. And tamp. Tamp nice and firm, even. Make sure there's no holes or gaps. Make sure it's flat. It went as deep as this silver part. And clean the edges. Lock it in. 6 o'clock position is where I'm locking it in. And let's try the shot now. I'm going to use the shot glass. So calibrate my scale, and I'm going to run the coffee. The machine will go for a certain length. I believe it's all the way up to here. It's different. You can change that if you wanted to. So I'm not sure what it will be now. It's a little bit too slow. It's coming out in black drops. It should be a little bit faster. So maybe next time you could use... Okay. So let's try grind size 18, and hopefully this is the one. Alrighty, third time's the charm. Grind size number 18 at the moment. Grind amount at 6 seconds per shot, or 12 seconds at double. Let's change that for you, 12 seconds. Here's what grind size 18 looks like. A little bit coarser than before. I think this is the one. Look, it's inevitable to waste some beans, at least in the first stages, when you get the machine and try different beans. I still do that every time I change my beans. I have to make a few shots and test. So yeah, it's necessary to waste some beans, unfortunately. Yeah, double shot. That looks much better. So it's a continuous flow this time. Looks really good, really smooth. So I think the machine will stop based on volume. You can play with the settings and ask the machine to give you different volumes. This is around 30 grams. So let's add a little bit more. I don't recommend reusing the pack, but I'm just adding a little bit more coffee. It's alright. That's the one. Looks really good, as you see. It has some good crema. The usual recipe for an espresso is a 2-to-1 ratio, so 18 grams in, 36 grams out. That's what I was aiming for. And here I got, I think, 38. And you want that to happen in around 30 seconds. So you want that doubling or that shot to happen in 30 seconds. So maybe a little bit too slow. So we can keep it on grind size 20 for now. You can experiment with your own beans at grind size 20. But at grind size 18, it was a pretty decent, strong shot. and I'm gonna show you how I clean the machines. So when you knock it off, there we go. Knock it off straight away and run a blank shot. So this time just to rinse the group head and the portafilter. Perfect. So I'm gonna half my shot because I want to have some sleep tonight. And it's time to do the milk. So this machine is a single boiler, but it's really quick single boiler. It will switch from coffee mode, espresso mode, to milk steaming in about 5 seconds. So pretty much the fastest machine on the market that does this. I'm going to take this off. There we go. Give it a few seconds. And then you want to learn the technique for milk steaming. At an angle. Keep the milk spinning. Keep the milk spinning and keep the tip close to the surface of the milk so that you inject and aerate the milk. Inject air into the milk and aerate it as it spins. And then maybe halfway through the steaming, raise the jug to stop aerating milk, stop injecting air into the milk. You don't want it to be too bubbly. And then I'm going to stop it right there. So when I can't touch the jug for too long, when it's too hot to handle for more than half a second, that's about 60 degrees. I'm going to, really importantly, tell you to purge it after you're done. Just run some hot water or like steam through the wand, just to clean it up. And the machine will cool down and go back to coffee mode after the steaming is done, which is very nice. So yeah, she's ready to make another shot. But also importantly, I almost forgot, wipe the wand as well. Grab a wet towel and remove all that milk, because obviously it gets really hot on them. And the sooner you clean it, the better, because otherwise the milk will dry and it'll be really nasty and hard to remove. That's all. You keep the machine nice and happy, and it will keep you happy. Here's my shot. I will pour the milk now. Once you're done with your milk steaming, knock down the jug on the counter to break any bubbles, and swirl it around to mix it up. Do this 2 or 3 times until you're satisfied with the texture. It should be sort of a smooth, wet paint-like texture on top. Yep, that's about right. There we go. You can do some latte art with this machine with some practice, and my cat is begging me to have some milk, so I'll do that later. Yeah, so with some practice you can easily do very beautiful latte art. I haven't done that tonight. But yeah, the most important part is the taste, so that's happening there. Hope you enjoy the machine, and if you have any questions or queries, feel free to message me. Cheers!